Hey everybody, this is Pastor Chris. I'm coming to you live from Lexington Park Baptist Church. This is PC Studios, and it is July the 2nd. Or is it? No, is it July? What is it? July 3rd or whatever it is? July 2nd, 2025. How in the world are you doing? I hope you're blessed, highly favored by God. Good to be with you here on the program today. And I just hope you are blessed and highly favored by God. And if you want to be with us live at this noon hour, you need to be at facebook.com/Pastor Chris McCombs. Or you can be on any YouTube channel, Facebook channel, anything connected with the program, with the church or with myself. But if you want to be with us and listen on podcast, you can find us at Spotify under Word of Encouragement or WOE underneath Pastor Chris McCombs, and you're welcome to join us there and listen to that at any time. So that's kind of for the introduction. So today is a special edition. I won't be on the air tomorrow, giving the staff off tomorrow for celebrating the 4th of July. So I want to do a 4th of July, just a freedom type of talk with you. I'm preaching this Sunday on the red, white, and blue and how that connects with sacrifice and how that connects with purity and perseverance, the red, white, and the blue. And so I hope that that will be a blessing. Come out, listen to that this Sunday as we celebrate on July 6th, the 4th of July sermon. But the 4th of July, go out, enjoy yourself, have a barbecue, celebrate freedom, acknowledge under God. Acknowledge your liberties and your freedoms. Declare your dependence on God, because your independence comes from the sovereign God of the universe, the creator God that gives you your inalienable rights, as the Declaration says. So July 4th, 1776 was a big day. So as we celebrate today and I talk about this, I want you to think about the freedoms that you have. Now, I'm really going to get into something that would happen years later. I'm going to talk about the pledge. I'm going to talk about the Constitution, giving you a few books that I highly recommend you read about patriotism in America. But I want to talk a little bit about this theme, and I'll probably get into this more next week as I delve into my sermon next week. But for this special edition on the 4th of July, I want you to realize that freedom isn't free. No matter what we do, freedom is not free. It comes with a price. It always has and it always will, so always realize that. And if this freedom that we get comes ultimately from God, the Declaration of Independence acknowledges the sovereign God, acknowledges the creator God, the providence of the providential authority over the whole universe, all those type of things. Some people over the time have tried to say it's more deistic. Remember, we're a product of the day and age in which we live. Was there deistic thought? Yes. But was there a Judeo-Christian ethic that definitely developed the thought processes of our founding fathers? And I would say with a definite yes. There are people that try to eradicate that from history. This 4th of July, do not let that happen. Do not allow people to eradicate the fact that we have a Judeo-Christian ethic. Now, let's get into that for a minute. The moment I say that, here's how people work in culture. They try to assign labels. They try to smear you. They try to say all kinds of things to put you down your position. So they'll come up with these concepts: Christian nationalism or white nationalism. The white, I think, comes from a racist perspective, but trying to say that our founding fathers were mostly white. By the way, that is a true statement. We come from European descent. That is the founding fathers of our nation. There's nothing to be ashamed about that. So forget that garbage. People try to put this down and try to do all kinds of things and try to make it about race. Listen, that's the truth. And our founding fathers were brilliant. The people that signed the Declaration, brilliant. In fact, if you go to Washington, D.C. and you walk around the waters that are between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, you will find independence. There's the signers of the Declaration. There's a little memorial there. You have to look for it, but it's there. It's a little park, and it goes out onto the water. You walk out into the water, and you can see all the signatures of the founding fathers who signed the Declaration. Most of them gave up everything to sign this, you all. July 4th, 1776 is such a big deal. Second thing I want to encourage you to do is on this Christian national thing. It's okay to be a Christian, and it's okay to love your nation. And if that makes me a Christian nationalist, in that regard, I am that, and I am patriotic. I say, God bless America. I say, I love America. I say that God has blessed America, And I believe that God has used America, and it's for good that that has happened. Now, have we always got it right? No. Have we done bad things? Yes. Are we still messed up? Yes. But overall, America has done a lot of good, and I believe it's because of the Judeo-Christian ethic that founded our nation that people are trying to eradicate. So the good stuff they're trying to eradicate, they're trying to say, well, we're going backwards now when we go back to those Judeo-Christian ethics. That's what people try to do. We're not making progress anymore because now we're saying, usually we'll come up with whatever the newest, latest thing is, whether it's some type of right they want to give somebody. Listen, there should be no special rights. Everybody is an American citizen. There should be no special rights. That declaration was for all of us. It didn't matter. The founding fathers to us today, any citizen of this great nation would be endowed by their creator with those inalienable rights. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. It doesn't matter what your gender is. There are no special rights. The rights come from God, not government. Now, government gives special rights. I get fired up about this. Government can give special rights, but the independence gives us our inalienable rights. The Constitution is founded on that. It's a Judeo-Christian ethic, and we should be proud of that. Now, you don't have to be a Christian to be a citizen of America. Totally cool with that. Totally cool with that. But we are a melting pot of many nations coming together in one, and we should acknowledge the Declaration as the founding document. We should acknowledge the founding fathers. We should acknowledge the nation under God, the God that they called upon. Now, that doesn't mean you have to believe in that God. It doesn't mean you have to worship that God. We're going to get into that in a minute. And by the way, that doesn't mean because I'm a Christian nationalist, supposedly, or a white person, I'm a white and Christian and nationalist. I'm all three of those things. Does that make me a bad guy? Absolutely not. Do I believe the founding fathers had it right? Yes. Has nothing to do with the color of skin. Do I believe that our freedom and our rights come from God? Yes. That's in the Declaration. Do I believe that as a Christian, I want to support and be patriotic? Yes, I do. I think that's biblical. It drives me nuts with pastors and churches that just totally won't even do that. And then we get to patriotism. As long as we have it in the right order, that we seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, it's all about God. We're under God. And that the government's not taking me away from my God or telling me how to live for my God or mandating I worship a false God or any of that stuff, then okay. But if my government is aligned with Judeo-Christian ethics of Christianity and the founding of our nation, I am all for that. Therefore, just because I'm white and I'm Christian and I'm a patriot, you can get labeled. And so I am proud of those things. I am proud of who I am. I don't look at myself by the color of my skin. I'm proud of who I am. I am a man, biologically, so I'm proud of those things too. And so people just try to smear tactic things. Don't let that happen. The Declaration is greater than that. Continue to defend what happened on July 4th, 1776. Acknowledge your great God. Acknowledge the liberty and freedoms that you have and be grateful for that. You can be grateful for that. You can celebrate that. And that's the 4th of July. You can also declare things like no king but King Jesus, huzzah, because that was a revolutionary battle cry. They didn't want the King of England. They wanted to worship the King of Kings. There's so much rich history that we miss out on. So with that, have a great 4th of July. Celebrate it. Don't worry about the color of your skin. Don't just be grateful for the freedoms that you have. Listen, if you're a Christian, be proud of it. Be proud of the Judeo-Christian ethic of our nation. And don't back down or feel bad when you think our nation should be aligned with that. That is good. And then also make sure that you realize that you can be patriotic. You can be proud of your country and the good that it's done. And also acknowledge the bad. So let me give you a few things. One, Pledge of Allegiance. I think it's important. Every person needs to know the pledge. There is history. Under God was not always in the pledge. But when you read it and you go through it and you see the words of the Pledge of Allegiance, and you say it this Sunday, we'll say it July 6th, but when you say it on the 4th, hopefully wherever you're at, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think we can say that and be proud of that. And why can we do that? Because listen, I believe that blessed is any nation whose God is the Lord. The scripture tells us that. That's not just Israel. It's any nation who calls upon the name of the Lord can be happy or blessed. And I think we can do that. And by the way, that comes from Psalm 33, 12, I believe it is. A few of the things I want to show you is that I encourage you to read the Constitution. I know that this was not written in July 4, 1776. It came around, over a decade later. I get that. And so yes, we can acknowledge that, all right? But it's still coming at this time. But I do believe that there are many people about the Declaration. The Declaration led to our Constitution. The Revolutionary War led to our Constitution. The sacred rights, Alexander Hamilton writes, the sacred rights of mankind are not in the rummage for among old parchments or musty records. They are written as with the sunbeam in the whole volume of human nature by the hand of the divinity itself, and can never be erased or obscured by mortal power. I'm not saying Alexander Hamilton was a good guy, but listen, human nature cannot overcome divine nature. And what he's arguing here is it can never be erased or obscured by mortal power. We cannot erase the divine. We cannot erase the history that's in our nation. We cannot erase the fact that the divine providence gave us that declaration and persevered through fighting a king of England into a war, risking our own lives to give us the country we have. You can't overcome that. That is part of history. So what I want to do, though, is I want to talk a little bit about the Constitution, because I want us to celebrate one of the freedoms that all of us should celebrate as people of God and as citizens of this nation. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. That's the opening of the Constitution. Then you have articles in the Constitution, and obviously we're not going to read all of those, right? But you have these articles that give you different rights and tell you different things. And then you have the articles that go through how we will govern, and then you get to your amendments. And your amendments are where you get your rights. And so when we say you have a right to something, amendment said this is specifically a constitutional right. We can't make this up as we go. It needs to be enshrined. So the top 10 are huge. But the first one, Congress shall make no law respecting any establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of press, or the right of the people to peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. To me, the first is the first most importance as we look at our nation and our freedoms. And I want to talk about this briefly because this is where we get freedom of religion, not separation of church and state. You will not hear, as I read this again if I need to, those words are never spoken. We find those with Danbury Baptist later on with Thomas Jefferson, assuring them there will be a wall of separation. And what was he doing with that statement that unfortunately has become just part of our culture and has been somehow almost like that's constitutional? He was telling them, listen, you can worship, there's a wall of separation. The government is not going to get in your stuff. But it didn't mean that God or religion can't influence our government. What it is government's responsible for protecting this individual right. And what is that individual right? There will be no laws that will establish religion. Now, I would say if you really look at history, what they're talking about is a Judeo-Christian religion. We are not going to say you have to be Methodist or Presbyterian or Quaker or whatever. All Christian religions and Judaism are welcome here. Catholics are welcome here. That was really what was going on. Now, do we accept Muslims, Hindus, and everybody else? Absolutely, we do. But this really was primarily talking about a Judeo-Christian ethnic religion. And they weren't going to pick which one it was. There was not going to be a state religion. That's what they're doing. Now, this has been misconstrued so big, and it's so out of context. And so realize that's what's really taking place here. And then the prohibition of the free exercise thereof. Listen, you and me, we are right. We have the right to worship our God as we want. If we wanted to worship in a Baptist church or a Presbyterian church or a Christian church of anything, that's how this thing was established initially. And so I want to encourage you, you have this free exercise. This also gets into stuff that goes on even today, like can the schools indoctrinate your children in stuff that goes against your faith? And the answer should be no. Now, the Supreme Court's not always got it right, but they got it right in this recent one against Montgomery County in Maryland. You cannot indoctrinate your children into LGBTQ stuff. You've got to give them the right to say, give my children an alternative. You got to inform me what's going on. I need to know what you're teaching my child because it goes against my religious beliefs. So make sure you get all that, okay? So you have the free exercise. Then we know we have freedom of speech. We have freedom of the press. We have the right to peacefully assemble. I want to say a lot of times in our cultures, this does not always happen. I hate to see the liberal progressive side. They will excuse violence and rioting and all stuff. And listen, I'll be the first to tell you, it doesn't matter what side you're on. If you cannot peacefully assemble, it's wrong. We do not cause problems and ruckus and chaos, and that is unacceptable. We should be able to assemble peacefully with a purpose, and we should also be able to, redress of grievances. We should be able to come with any grievances we have against our government, and our First Amendment rights give us those things. So as you worship God and you worship Him on the 4th of July, think about the freedoms that you have of religion. I want to leave you with a few more things as we're talking 4th of July. A few books that I have that I highly recommend. The first one is The Harbinger. The Harbinger is an excellent book about the ancient mystery that holds secret in America's future. It is a fictional, factual book. I just encourage you to read it. There's a study guide that goes with it, but it's a very profound book. One that's not fictional, that's factual. It just so happens to be written by Newt Gingrich. And again, I have no. It's not that I'm saying I like him, but right here, it's God in America. Rediscovering God in America. And I love this book because he takes you through all the places of America where God is definitely, it's almost a tour you can do. And it goes from the National Archives, from looking at the Declaration of Independence and the word it says, to the Washington Monument that at the top says for God's glory alone, and it faces to the east. So God sees that as he opens, as the sun rises on America. That's the first thing. May God be glorified in America. The Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, the Vietnam Wall, the Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Capitol building, all these things, the Supreme Court, the Library of Congress, the Ronald Reagan building, even to the White House, the World War II Memorial, Arlington National Cemetery, and so forth. There's so much heritage in rediscovering God in America. It's so many different things. The evidence is overwhelming that God has blessed America and is in America. And unfortunately, yes, sin brings reproach to any nation. And so as we choose sin instead of God, we do reap, unfortunately, the consequences of that. And ultimately what we want to see, again, call me white, Christian, nationalist, whatever you want to call me, we want to see a Judeo-Christian ethic reestablished and hopefully a nation that will cry out to God and be a nation truly under God. And so as we say the pledge on the 4th of July this year, when you say under God, mean it. May we be one nation under God. Hey, God bless you. Have a great 4th of July. God bless America. Remember these two realities I always share with you. God loves you. So do I. Take care. Have a great weekend. God bless.